Welcome back to Dive Twang. I'm Dave. I got you moved right in here for this one. We've got a progression in C major here, um, and to me it feels like a 6 beat per measure type of thing. I actually played the drums on this one on a virtual drum kit in GarageBand by hand because I couldn't find a drum beat in there that really felt right with that groove of that acoustic guitar rhythm I was doing. So, anybody has a better analysis of this about the time signature or something, then that would be interesting for all of us if you leave a comment. But it's as long as you can feel that groove, then you don't have to worry about it. It's pretty straightforward. It's C, F, G, and F, and like I said, it's kind of a swing. 4 5 6 1 4 5 6 1 Okay, so that's our chord progression. That'll be your jam loop at the end of this lesson. And I'm going to keep this one pretty concise. I'm going to give you a couple of steps here for improvising over this that really are all about the major scale, in this case C. Okay. And this isn't about, there's this position and this one, and we're going to memorize, here's the diagrams, and, we do a lot of stuff like that, but not today. Today, this is an ear training thing that really just depends less on that iconic memorization, right, in that part of our brain, and more on the trusting our ear and our musical brains to just seek out those notes that are within that family, that key, and that sequence of that scale. And here's what I mean. Let's just first see if this is even a good idea, because, like I like to say, don't take my word for it. I just suggested that throughout this whole progression, the C major scale will work well, but that has to be proven, doesn't it? Okay, well, you know, to my ear, that seems like it works. I'm playing it over all the chords, doing different stuff. There's nothing really stuck out as really bothering me about it, right? Now, it could get a little, repetitive pretty quickly. So there's other things that we want to do that are more musical, right? But you can start out by like, I like that, just throwing paint on the canvas kind of just at first, just ramble around like that a little bit. Get that key and that system of notes really, get your brain really uh, uh, primed with that. And then when you do the rest of these steps that I'm about to show you, um, you'll already be in that space, of that key. So pick a string. One of the higher strings probably makes the most sense. And look for those notes that are in that C major scale. Okay, so I'm going to work on the G string. Now, right away, one of the things that can be an advantage here for you creatively is that you're not going to just play them in order, right? Just move them around. The ear training part of it is that it's not just about I'm going to go up and down and up and down. You can do that, but move around. Um, but when you hit a note that's not one of them, your ear's going to alert you of that. Now, okay, in a certain key or in another chord progression, that would have sounded great, right? So I guess you gotta have that context on, right, for it to really work. So okay, that's a little too funky. Okay, so you see what I mean about trusting your ear? When you hit that note, I don't like to say wrong note because, like we just experienced, any note can work in the right context. Um, but make those corrections and those your let your ear, your musical part of your brain, notify you of that, not the visual part of your brain. Does that make sense? Not that they're completely independent, because they're not, but really stay over there in that musical brain module for this one, and I think it'll help you. So then pick another string, do something similar. I went back down to my other string because I'd already done some work down there. Now, you start connecting these pieces and these segments and the adjacent strings and so forth, and before you know it, you're making some pretty good moves. And then, of course, the one finger thing isn't very good technique, and it's I like that at first because you're just really mapping. It's kind of like, like you're learning it, like your body's learning it where it is. Um, it's almost like I'm using like a stylus to kind of record that in my mind. And so, but then you start finding clusters. You start looking at it this way as well as this way, and you get some two or three adjacent strings going. Well, then you've got, you know, a three-dimensional, if you will, system going there, right? And you can really elaborate on that, and then you just can put in more musical elements, bending, repetition, hammers, and before too long. Now, let's just pause right here for a second. What just got talked about and demonstrated here in the last few minutes, we could have done a lick that used those notes, and you could tab it out and you could say, here's lick number one. Okay, great. And that might have helped you lead onto creating some, onto a path where you would create some other licks and so forth. But this is kind of like doing it from the recipe with putting the ingredients in the bowl and knowing what the ingredients are, right? Not just, bam, there's a great cookie, sitting there so hopefully you can, if that makes sense to you. People have different learning styles. If that makes sense to you sort of philosophically, then, I hope you can really buy into that idea and really start trusting yourself that, hey, I'm doing some things that seem, that require my own exploration, that seem very rudimentary, but it's leading me to eventually you're gonna have such a broader musical ability doing it that way. I don't mean to compare this to other teaching methods and stuff. That's not my point. but this particular method relies on trusting that process. So let's review our system here. C major. Okay. Single string mapping with our ear and our eyes of those notes. Okay, with different starting and stopping points after a while. See, you can start, you can refer to that root, because sometimes you just have to start over and say, is that really the do, re, mi, do, re, mi? Oh, okay, yeah. Then other adjacent strings. Then combining adjacent strings. Okay, then adding embellishments and improvisational elements, style. Phrasing, resting, not playing in certain spaces. And you can do all of these things deliberately, but without having an exact plan. Okay, that's it. That's our plan for this. And let me know how that goes. We might do a follow-up on this, because I like the feel of this. I like that kind of 3 and 6 feeling of that groove there. So we might do another one where we do some specific licks and get into maybe some of those harmonized licks like I did in the demonstration earlier. But I think this is a good place to stop this one, because what was just presented is something you could spend a fair amount of time on, and I hope that it serves you well, and let me know how you're doing with it. Okay, thank you. Until next time.